join the fight is a bunch of crap. Americans love a winner. They will not tolerate a loser. America, you remember when you were kids, you loved the big league ball player, the boxer, or the champion marble shooter. Americans love a winner, and the very thought of losing is hateful to Americans. Now, some of you are wondering if you get into battle, you're chicken out. I assure you, you will do your duty. The Nazis are the enemy. When you put your hand in a bunch of goo that a moment before is your best friend's face, by God, you'll know what to do. You know how pity those poor bastards are going against. By God, I do. We're not just going to murder them by the bushel. We're going to cut out their living guts and use them to green the treads of our tanks. They are not supermen. Now, we have the finest food, the best spirit, and the best army in the world. I pity those poor bastards we're going against. Now, some of you were wondering, you're going to get killed in battle. Only 2% of the soldiers ever die in any battle. You'll go through it. You shouldn't fear dying. Well, what we want you to fear is not doing your duty. Those Nazis are not supermen. We have the best fighting force in the world. Don't you ever think not. Now, I don't want to hear any reports of anybody surrendering. My men don't surrender. In North Africa, there was a brave man. Germans got the drop on him. They put a Luger in his chest, told him to surrender. He took his helmet off, knocked crap out of the guy, took the Luger away, and shot him dead on the spot. Now that's a brave man. And not all of you are going to be in combat. Some of you have support roles. We had a man in wire in Tunisia. He was up on the top of the telephone poles. He was hanging that wire and the bombs were bursting around. And I came up, I said, don't those bombs burst in you? He said, hell no, but you do. I got a job to do. So that was a hell of a soldier. He knew what he needed to do. An army is not all about combat soldiers. It's about support groups. It's about doing all kinds of things. Now, battles are won by men. They're men doing their duties. Generals are just there to give you a general direction of where the hell you're going. You'll get there. Now, if you heard that speech, and it went on, and you were a young person, you hadn't been 50 miles away from your own hometown, you felt like that this was a man, right or wrong, he was going to do you his best to lead you into battle. And he gave that speech, and they led into battle. He had to give orders that cost a lot of men their lives, and he knew it. But they said, we'll follow that man because he'll lead us. So let me tell you something about war, what Patton said about war. He says, we don't want to fight a war. But if we're going to fight the war, we're going to fight it to win. The way you win is kill all the Germans. You keep killing them till you run out of the enemy, and they surrender, or you just keep killing them. The more you kill them, the less there is to killing you. It's a pretty simple thing. They understood that. Now, you may have run across some World War II veterans that fought in the European campaign, and you may have asked them what they did in World War II. And they might have been pretty quiet about it. It's not something they talked about. It was something they did. And now, as we said earlier, we honored them. We honored them because we're losing them. We want to remember them. We want to know who they were and what they did. Now, I challenge you to go and read as much as you can about the greatest generation that we call the World War II generation. Find out what they did, where they came from, and find out how the 4 years and 5 years of their life was gone having served. Find out about those that lost their lives. Do you realize that in Normandy there were people who waded ashore and were shot who were 19 years of age, who were not remembered today? Nobody knows who they were, yet they gave their all so you could be free. World War II was fought against Nazis and socialism and communism and dictators. Yesterday we had kids run through here. And we asked them, because the teachers had already talked to them and said, well, I asked them when World War II came about. They said the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And I said, that's good. I said, well, who else were they fighting? And they said they were fighting the Nazis. They knew that. Then I explained to them what a dictator was. Now, about this a minute. What's a dictator? He's somebody who takes over a country. He tells people what to think and what to do. He tells them where they can go. He tells them what they can do. And if they don't do it, he kills them. That's pretty simple. So I said, young people, if that happened in World War II, can you think of when it happened before? And when it's happening again? It's not a new concept. We have a Gaddafi who kills all of his people and buries them out in the middle of the desert. We have a Saddam Hussein who does that and uses gas. We got atrocities all over this world. We're fighting a war today because we don't fight it out there where they are. Them SOBs are going to come over here and we're going to fight them here. We don't want to fight them here. We want them to die over there in their country. So that's what war is about. It's not pretty and it's not nice. But it has to be done. And we have an all-volunteer force today. We have the finest men and women in uniform in the world. We support them. We support them all the time. If you elect politicians who don't show up to military events and don't support the soldiers, you need to unelect them. This is America. We stand for our troops, we stand for freedom, and we stand for what's right. And we do it under God. It's one nation under God. A country that forgets their God will no longer be a country. Patton got out on his knees, and he prayed to the Lord not to kill Germans, but that he could win battles quicker so that more of his men would not get killed. And he asked, you may remember the great prayer from World War II, the Christmas prayer for Bastogne to liberate Bastogne. You saw the movie. And the pastor said in the movie, well, gee, I don't know if I can make a battle prayer to have good weather so we can kill our fellow man. You know, Patton did twice. That wasn't how the conversation went. Patton called the chaplain in. And he asked him, he said, when you pray, because he was the head of all the chaplain services, what do? Well, we have a church service, and we have a few words, and then we pray, and it's over. So you get down on your knees. Do you really talk to the Lord? This is Patton talking to the man. If you don't believe me, go look it up. James O'Neill, 3rd Army chaplain. Run that on Google. You'll find what I'm telling you. This is not baloney. And he said, what I want you to do is I want you to tell your chaplains that we need to start praying for the Army. Our Army does not have pestilence. It does not have disease. We're lucky. And the reason we do it because the men and women back home are praying for our troops. And they're keeping that down. And I want our troops to start asking for divine guidance so they get out of this war and they come out here alive. And he issued an order, and about 4,000 of those orders went out to the chaplains, and they were read that they would get down on their knees and they would pray. That's important. That's what this country's about. You didn't know that story, did you? It kind of gets lost in all the minutiae of the politically correct today. Americans fought so you have the right to pray, so that you have the right to have a God, or have no God, or not pray. That is what they fought for. Never, ever let anybody tell you what you can do, when you can do it, or how you can do it, or we'll cease to be Americans. Now, we're going to have our chaplain of 3rd Army come out, and he's going to bless this reenactment and ask that no one get hurt out here, and that you get a sense of what real battle is like, even though it's a reenactment. And as you watch this, you think back to our World War II veterans, and then you think forward to our veterans of Korea and Vietnam and Grenada, and our veterans of the First Gulf War and Afghanistan and Iraq. And you think of what they're doing so you can be free.